Yep. Okay. From my side, it's all. So,
So, okay, and once again, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. I think I've met some of you during Cultura Congress in La Línea, Tarifa. So you may have heard TripLeap already, but don't worry. Today we will go a bit deeper. So just start with a big question. How can we make heritage experience more engaging for families with kids? And of course, how TripLeap can help here. So, but before we even go to the product itself, we just want to start with the challenge why traditional interpretation often works well for adults, but not always for kids and families. Then we'll look at what meaningful gamification can actually mean in each context. And after that, we'll show a few examples, a city museum, and actually very, very fresh fortress example. It's basically one from the oven. Then we will move into the practical part, how an idea becomes a playful experience, how the platform helps with the content creation, and how actually a site can be started. And considering we're in a small round, I would suggest us that you can ask any questions anytime. We're happy if it feels more like a each other. So to begin, let's zoom out for a moment. This topic matters not only because we want children to learn something, of course, it's very important, but it also matters strategically for heritage sites and destinations. As you can see, family tourism is growing. At the same time, also interactive real-world experiences like digital guides, digital games, and the real experiences are also becoming a serious market. So this is not just a nice extra anymore. The demand is there. The question is, are we meeting families with their demands? There is a well-known phenomenon that's called museum fatigue. Studies show that already after 20 minutes of exhibits, we already start to lose our attention. And you can imagine that with kids, it happens even faster. And parents know this well, and believe me, I'm mother too, Julia. The moment a child gets bored, the whole visit becomes shorter and more stressful. Now, for fortification, it's a particularly really tricky case because painting works in 30 seconds. You see it, observe it, done. Fortification doesn't. A bastion looks like a wall, and it becomes meaningful only when we understand the story behind it. Who built it? Why it was important? What conflict shaped it? So meaning does not simply live in the stone; it lives in the narrative. Usually we try to give this narrative through more information, traditionally through audio guides, panels, brochures. This is all on the left side. It works well for adults, even not always, but for kids, and especially for modern kids, they are here on the right side. Their brain works differently. They can't focus on one media stream for a long time. So they need to switch rapidly between different medias to actually absorb the information. So if they lose attention, it doesn't always mean the content is bad, and it doesn't mean the children are the problem. Very often it means the interface is just not designed. It's a good news because interface is much easier to fix than people. So here we come to the gamification, because this is the way how we actually can bring this multimedia in one place. This is something we explored in our research work at the university in Germany. Julia and I ran a study project here with international students from Heritage Preservation Program. The topic was gamification and cultural heritage. So each student from all over the world, they picked up one real heritage site and had to develop a prototype how they can make gamification there. And many of them took like really challenging places, from prisons, temple sites, complex history narratives, very actually sometimes very sensitive topics. It was very interesting to observe because it worked not by making the content superficial, but by treating it with care and respect and putting it into this interesting gamification for kids. So some prototypes were very well received by the heritage sites, and some of the students were later really actually invited to develop them. And yeah, it helped to make the visitor experience more accessible and engaging. So for us, gamification is not just adding some coin, badges, congratulations, screen at the end. That can be fun and of course brings some motivation for kids, but it doesn't automatically help children understand the place. So meaningful gamification starts with the story and the content, and this is what very important for us. So a good task makes children look closer, notice some hidden details, connect some ideas, discover answers, or discuss it in group and come naturally to some conclusion. This is why we position TripLeap as a playful interpretation layer for families, not just like another digital. We want to turn it around, and instead of putting information at the center, we want to put a child at the center. And then something really interesting happens. The children become the guide for the family. They find the next clue. They explained what they discovered to the parents and asked to keep going. The challenges, this changes actually the whole dynamic. The visit becomes less passive, more playful, and much more shared and meaningful for the
Um, yeah. So, and this is where TripLeap comes into the game. What we are doing, we are turning cities, museums, heritage sites, also fortifications into playable family missions. Basically, it works like that. A family or a child opens the experience on their phone. There no app download is required. It's a web app, and they dive into the story. Children follow a route. They meet characters. They solve different types of tasks and gradually move to clear ending. And the content is always connected to the physical place. Children not simply answering some generic questions. They need to observe something. They look for details, compare images. And our goal is to make children like feeling like an active explorer, as Maria already said, than a passive companion, so to say. And we call this approach a light screen, because we actually turn them from the screen towards the environment around them. Yep. And yeah, a bit about us and the company. It all started with us, two mothers, curious persons who love to travel with heritage background. We love to explore the world and heritage sites, and we started to ask ourselves how to make travel both fun and meaningful and engage children on the way. And it was our personal challenge, but it turned to be eventually a company. And we bring different backgrounds. I worked at the city administration. I leaded big city development projects and also in the heritage context. And Maria has experience in game design and pedagogic and also in marketing and tech. But behind we also have a team who support us with the software development, graphic design, and also product development. And basically, what we offer is not only software, but we can support at any stage of the project development, from technical guidance up to development of the project, but we will talk about that later. Yeah, and where we are at the moment, we are quite young company. We are less than 2 years, but we already have collected a lot of experience. We developed 14 different games under the under TripLeap brand for different heritage sites, and currently working more and more with cities and heritage sites across Europe who are developing um, experiences with our help. Yep, you can go further. And behind um, this is our AI-powered software platform, and it enables creators to build and provide such treasure hunts either directly on our marketplace. We also have a TripLeap marketplace, or as a white label solution for organizations and destinations as yours. So let me now shift to our first example. This is a city exploration game in Bayreuth. Bayreuth is a German city in Oberfranken. It's well known for its music festivals and attracts many visitors, but mostly adults and even elderly people. And city wanted to create something specifically for families and children. And together we developed interactive city mission, and this helps families discover the city in a very playful way. So it leads them not only through the iconic sightseeing places, but also shows some hidden stories, some interesting background yards, so to say. And the next example is takes us indoors. This is mission inside the Egyptian Museum in the heart of Berlin. The museum has amazing collection, but for children it's quite tricky and challenging to understand it without the right context. The statues, the pharaohs, and can be quite difficult to understand. So the mission takes families through 3 floors of the museum. And because it is indoors, it doesn't have to be with a GPS. The children navigate using a printed map, which we developed, and with the visual clues and some directions how to get to the next station. And the mascots, of course, guide kids from one station to another. And this experience will be launched next week, I believe. And so we will be happy to collect some feedback. And what I also wanted to say that at the end they come to the museum shop to get some souvenirs so that they get a bit of more motivation, but also it was made so to bring families into the museum shop so they could actually spend some money there. And our last example, which is probably the most relevant for today's audience here, is the fortress game for the Königstein fortress in Germany, in Saxony. It will be actually soft launched tomorrow for the audience. It's one of the biggest European fortresses. I don't know, maybe you have met already the CEO, I don't know, the director of the fortress, and families could easily spend several hours there. There are many buildings, there are many exhibitions, and outdoors and indoors exhibitions. So for children, it's quite a complex overall story. And we created a 10-stop mission guided by the fortress mascots. There is a cat and a dog. And yes, Fortis and Kuna, and children solve challenges, they discover hidden details, explore the fortress step by step, and at the end of the mission, again, they will arrive in the museum shop to get their reward. So they have this motivation again to complete the mission. So it's always our suggestion to create something for the end so that they keep motivated. And it's only stickers in this case, it's with the mascots, but even kids of 12 years old, they get so connected to the mascots, so they are really, really happy. So it doesn't have to be something big, but a small reward. We already tested this game with several families, and the first feedback was very positive. And yeah, tomorrow it will be then available for anyone visiting the fortress. Yes. Um, yeah, here we wanted to make it a bit interactive because we are currently in a lot of discussions with different types of partners from the cities, administrations to destination management organization and heritage sites. And we hear some challenges that organizations face. And we wanted to hear also maybe some of your insights. First of all, whether this also has some issues in your cases. Maybe you can raise hands or write in the chat or just say now. First of all, what we hear that most of the offerings are exclusively for adults, unfortunately, even until today. The second thing is that the app download is a kind of problem for many users. Another thing that a lot of companies use GPS logic, and it's rigid GPS where you have to be on the place to unlock some challenges, and it could be tricky for some visitors. And again, what we have heard that a lot of experiences that have been made for organizations are being made from the external companies, and they kind of then have to be always on board to make any changes into the game. So wanted to hear, maybe you can add something to that. What challenges do you face while thinking or developing this kind of offerings for your guests? Maybe someone could add something or say, no, we don't see it as a problem, or maybe we are still missing something. And this helps us a lot in the development of our product. So your insights would be very valuable. No? Okay. If something comes to your mind, maybe write us in the chat. So, okay, let's go further. Um,
I will take over here.
okay.
So, make sure that you can cite yours. Again, it's not just kids have fun to do. So it's very important anyway, because if children have fun, then families are keen to share their experiences with others, for example, on social media, which brings you free organic reach, which is good. It's one of the values and just that you have for free, and also help you to guide visitors to the utilized areas. Also enable cross promotion, for example, with local partners, increase downtime, or time at pub and restaurant, like Julia just mentioned examples. So at the same time, the content remains under your control, and you can make changes anytime, adapt it, for example, for some special events. And because the experience is digital, it also creates for you insights where visitors start, how they interact with the tool, where the experience can be improved. So the next question is, how do we get from idea to actually playful experience? The process is quite simple. First, you define the audience and the goal, what you want to achieve, what this experience is for, where you want visitors to navigate. This is where you create a route and stations. After that, you build a story around this place, and you audio, visuals, the translation is actually now we have it built in, so it can be made with one click. And then here you go, you can launch the game, test it, watch kids explore activities with fun and share the emotions with others. To make it feel like it's part of your own branding, storytelling, the mascots are very important. It's not just a decoration, it's a guide for kids, a narrator, an emotional link through the experience to the young. The mascot can ask questions, give some hints to kids, explain things in a very friendly way. They can make even some mistakes that children have to solve. This is what creates a strong emotional link to the site. If the same character appears in several experiences, not only in the digital content, but maybe somewhere else in the books or booklets, it starts to be a part of a larger story of you. And it also it makes your brand more stronger than this connection to your guests. We need to keep kids engaged, so we use different types of tasks. Sometimes it's a quiz, sometimes they have to match the same, search for details, maybe sometimes follow some clues, or navigate using compass. The most important thing Julia already mentioned that tasks should belong to the place. So if children are staying, we don't just ask what year was it built, because honestly, kids will forget this in 5 minutes. We want them to look at this world differently. Why is it shaped like this? What could you see from here? How you would defend this place? So they start to think about this place and make their own conclusions. This is what matters most in education. Yeah. So you may see that good children experiences, it's not it's like feel like visuals in audio and in translation, format, it's also consistent branding. It doesn't mean that you need tools to building this already in the tool, so you don't need to leave the platform. There is a wonderful visual editor. You can work with visuals very simply. You can use brand templates, translate contact with the eye, and also in the Data Academy. This is a comprehensive kit put together that teaches you how to build a great experience for kids. So the idea is simple. You bring your local knowledge and your heritage expertise to build it in a playful experience. So working further on the platform to make it even more cool, to add maybe some guidances, some text formulations that would make the text even better for kids. So even more
Yeah, so now shifting to the how our work together could look like. The first option is do-it-yourself software as a service. In this case, your team creates and manages everything independently, just using our platform. So we basically provide only the software. The second option is the co-creation. We work alongside your team and step only when extra support is needed. For example, audio narration, or you need help with the illustrations or designs of something and testing. And we also work in the full service, so to say. In this case, we take care of the whole project, if from the first idea to the final experience, if there are no personal resources who could manage that at the moment. And if we would talk about this option just so that you know approximately how long does it take and how much it costs. The usual experience is about 12 stations. It's about 1.5 to 2 hours of playtime, and it includes the whole storyline, the visual design and audio narration, and it takes us about 6 weeks. Yeah, it depends, of course, on the collaboration, so to say, how fast we decide on the things, and depending on the scope of and requirements, the pricing is varies from approximately from 5 to 8,000. But again, if the material is there, then it could be done more fast and cheaper. And if it requires a lot of research and personal visits, then it might be a bit more expensive. Now to the prices. We have our regular plans, of course, and we have prepared special prices for the Forte Cultura members. We don't go here through every detail of this table, but the main difference in prices are the number of monthly users or players and the number of active experiences and the level of our support and analytics. As members of Forte Cultura, you will get a 30% discount on all subscription plans, and you can publish your experience using a QR code or link, integrate them into your website, or make it complete white label solution integrated in your app. So basically, the starter would be with 100 euros. And in addition to that, to these plans, we have prepared a special pilot exclusively for the Forte Cultura members. This is a pilot for the 6 months, and it costs 600 euros in total. And during this period, there is no limit on the number of users or active experiences. This is done to test it, how it's been adopted by the users, and to understand how many users you have per month, and decide later on the plan. And on top of that, we include hands-on support to help your team get started. And together with you, we'll have up to 3 sessions, individual sessions, and we will help you create one station fully, with including the illustrations, icons, for pictograms for the answers, and audio, so that your team then could complete the game up to the end. So just add additional stations. And yeah, so that's a pilot to make it easier to start, because we know it could be a bit challenging just to start somewhere. Yeah, and we also understand that many Forte Cultura members are public institutions, associations, or non-profit organizations, and budgets are limited. So that we thought that yeah, for many heritage sites, of course, these experiences will be free of charge, and it makes sense in many cases. But we wanted to suggest you also to think about to get a small fee for that, maybe a couple of euros or a donation. Even a symbolic price can position this experience from some add-on to a very real cultural product that actually could be sold. And here on the next slide, we created an illustrative example. Let us assume that the production costs were 5,000 euro. Even if your team needs to develop that, I think you still have to calculate this sum. The annual platform subscription is then 1,000 something, and the site charges 2 euros. So in the first year, the break-even point would be approximately 3,000 participants. And from the second year onwards, if there are no major production costs and only the platform subscription remains, so that approximately 550 participants per year would cover this subscription. And this fee doesn't have to be sold separately. It could be, of course, included maybe in the admission ticket or in some destination pass, or yeah, or maybe pay what you want, something like that, like a donation. And interactive family experiences also fit very well in many public funding priorities in cultural heritage, digital transformation, youth engagement, sustainable tourism, multilingual accessibility, or cross-border cooperation. You probably know a lot of programs. Depending on the country and the organization, this could include European programs like Interreg maybe, or Creative Europe, as well as, of course, national or regional funding schemes. So I think it really makes sense to explore in this thing, because it's not just a regular digital tour guide. It's something about the inclusivity, accessibility for younger generations. Yep. So before we finish, I'd like to leave you with some 3 simple ways to take the next step. First, if you already have an idea for a route for your site, or how this mission could look like, feel free to book a pilot call with us. In a short meeting, we can explore the idea and discuss what might be possible. Secondly, you can try the platform and how it works absolutely free of charge, and just immediately you go to this link or scan QR code. You just register there and use it without any obligation. You can explore the workflow and create your first experience even, so that when you decide, for example, we can then switch it to the another option, so it won't be placed on our marketplace, but will be just available through the QR code, so you can see how it all works. And third, if you would like a bit more information about us and about these models, how we work, we are happy to send you the one-pager, the pricing and pilot details that I have just introduced you. And we would be happy to continue the conversation. And hopefully, when you are here, you're already thinking about the younger generation, and we admire that, and are very eager to create something together for our kids. Thank you very much, and looking forward for your questions.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I'll stop sharing now. Since, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. Presentation is really interesting. I mean, this kind of issue. So, question is, internet storage is the first loading. Like with the apps, this usually works much better. With web applications, it's sometimes challenging, and without this problem. So the first loading should happen with a good connection. Maybe the usually we use picture and audios compressed. So pre-recorded experience the game without the yeah. It's really important question because we hear it from a lot of sides, and when there is a problem and we work with
Anthony.
Yes. Congratulations. Interesting project presenting. I wish you luck. Engaging people is always a problem. This is, I think, a tool which has great potential. Like anything new, it needs certain tension and certain push. I think the details that you have presented in this short hour will take some time to resolve, especially for somebody like me who is not so much acquainted. But I do consult with something in mind that will particular application, not necessarily concerned with our within our Denmark. There might be something on his seat. There might be saying what is Tony saying. But I believe in cooperation also with competitors of ours. There are some organizations at national level who would immediately have something, a lot of interest for this. For the time being, I just thank you for giving us this opportunity. Uh, there's a lot to digest, and we'll certainly be coming back to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yes,
Sorry.
continue with Anthony. Yes, Malta is a very small island. There's a full of history. So although I didn't jump on my seat, but I think I understood exactly what Anthony was aiming for. Being such a small island, small, not just size-wise, I'm saying. So unlike other sites, I live in Italy. Living in Italy to get from one place to another takes ages.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. I'm from Russia originally.
So that's not an issue with us. So it might make sense that we build something like this with even the local tourism board, other NGOs who have other properties as well. And instead of sort of trying to be on our own, maybe it makes more sense that built all together and applied to many sites, which sometimes you just need to walk from one side to the other.
Yeah, Daniel, I was just, I wanted to tell us, Anthony, the short speech, because I was so impressed by your presentation, La Linea, like so many beautiful.
You impressed her, Daniel. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Impressed her.
Your passion, you know, it was impressive. So what I was like dreaming to do during your presentation in La Linea is like just to connect this different like sites together. Really like travel passport for kids where they can go from one side to another and unlock more and more history. And because of the place is quite small, so it's actually possible to not travel 2 days to from one place to another. So it's like really, I see a lot of potential.
And you can see a lot. I mean, why in Italy, if I have to go and travel somewhere, usually there's a lot of time spent on going to the site or going to different sites if you are following, different areas. In Malta, that period, that traveling period, can be used in seeing the sites and experience them. So then again, there is more time to use these kind of games, apps, because you spend more time on the site itself. In our case, the game can be also put together, not just one site, maybe so that leads you from one side to the other.
And I would say, as a parent, it's so important to get some direction up front, what to do with kids and where to travel. You know already with a game there, connected games, one huge experience. So I spend my week, have already planned what to do. And I go from one place to another. I plan to make 3 fortresses in one day and then 2 another day and then another day. each and then continue. So you don't build in.
Yes, a plan. Right. Yes. Also, in our case, as Anthony said, sorry, I'm taking time of the others, but as an example, we have a lot of layers of history here. You know, starting from prehistory to the British period. So even that could be built up as a kind of chronological way of seeing things. You go from the very, very old to the most recent. That's another idea that can be constructed in such a way. Obviously, that will need to be something done in connection with the tourist authority, other NGOs, and even Heritage Malta, who has a lot of sites. Maybe together we can build up something, these sites, but maybe, you know, we can give it the whole island to put something together. Cost for money, things follow. Sites, not just the sea and the beaches. So it'd be a good thing to sort of, you know, to link it with it. I think, and one final question, please. Software, would it be on the parents or on the child?
The game will be
The game would be, yeah.
would be probably on the parents' devices. In most cases, it would be parent devices. I mean, for teenagers probably have their own, so they could.
Yes, yeah. So there would be some issue, I think, with this.
Why?
You know, because the parents, in the meantime, like during this call, I don't know how many calls I had coming in. So imagine if I am, well, my children now are not young, they're grown up, but imagine I go with my young boy or girl going through this experience and I'm getting calls. What happens there? Do you interrupt? Do you stop the calls? Do you interrupt the game?
You interrupt the game. You go on the call and then you continue. You actually can stop anytime. You go for a break. You eat your ice. You make your lunch, and you can then proceed. Of course.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Like for families, this self-paced experience because kids are not linear. They want to jump
So
on.
can either bring the family together or put them apart because they start arguing about who shares the mobile data.
No, it's all about creating family bonds. They need to make it together, and it doesn't matter which device
No,
they use.
very interesting. Thank you. Thank you.
Other comments, questions, remarks?
Is there a possibility of downloading on something like an iPad or you know, something which is not connected always online? From what I understood, it has to be, no?
So currently it's web application. We made it on purpose because 59% visitors. So as I explained, we pre-upload visitors start the game. We pre-upload all the content in the browser. So the internet connection is not very important during the game. We can build it in an app. For example, in Malta, you have some app, your particular app. We can integration in the app. In terms of the technical solution, I think we can, if we build something with it.
Any other ideas from other sites? Oh, Vera. Yeah, solution. I can answer this question. Yeah. Uh, Physical games require production and it's costly, and it becomes, of course, then parents have to pay more. As they have to pay more, they are not so willing to pay this money. This is first thing. So the production is then quite complicated. We worked for 1 year only in the B2C market with the families, with our games. And we made not only digital games, but the physical ones. The box with the map and riddle cards and some souvenirs. Um, we have a very good experience with that. No question, it was very well received, but it was costly. Our set was about 30 euros in the selling price. The production costs were like 10 euros. So you could estimate for your site that you need to produce it somehow. So our best experience at this time is this combination of the digital game with the physical map. They have a physical map. They have this mission. It's like a treasure hunt already. They have something with this physical map. They have a QR code. They scan it, and the smartphone will be just like an audio guide. They don't stick their eyes in the phone all the time. They hear the stories and they just solve the riddles. And they don't even need to read the riddles. They connect different things. They answer, select the questions. Maybe Maria can show it again. So it's kind of combination of both, right? A physical something, a paper map, which is simple, which is easy to print. It's cheap.
QR code with direct access. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's like easy to give access.
Yeah. And of course, the souvenir. I've already stressed it in the presentation. It's again a very small reward. It's something physical, and you have this combination of physical and digital. We find it's a best practice for such projects is to have a small piece of printed and a digital guide.
Yes, Anthony.
Just to say that I have to leave. Thank you very much. We'll be in touch. Good day to all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Anthony.
Bye-bye. Very much. It was very impressive. I like your app, as you know. So you're here in the webinar, and I hope all the others enjoyed this too. About pricing and the technical issues, you will be available for all these questions. Finally, we will publish, of course, on our website and summarize all the presentation. I have one question about the noise coming from phones by kids close to their ears and running through fortresses and cities and such things. We have something like general recommendation, please use headphones or something like this.
Uh, we could always say it in the intro. I think it depends on the sites. I don't think that Königstein had any issues in that. I believe that it could be a problem inside the museum where it's quite leise. uh, quite exactly. But we will see how it works. Anyway, in the intro, I think you could always tell me.
From my experience, what we talked to the family who made this our guides and our games, they usually playing all together always. So it's then difficult if someone has only headphones. This experience or the mission that we lead as a family, then disappear. Issues with the audio, that it was disturbing to someone. I agree with Julia that we might together very fresh experience from Egyptian museum very soon and see how it works. We'll work there. Yeah, in the public space. I think it's yeah, I'm not sure there will be. So we have.
Because I had such a bad experience in the museum in Forte and was you walk in the same room, a new screen, the voice shout out some information, and at the end, 10 screens worked together at the same time, and you didn't understand anything. So that was really a bad experience. And I can imagine that if you go in cities like Amsterdam or something like this, through villages, smaller parts where people living, I noticed in Korea that you have to be silent, you have to be, yeah, let's say, and maybe if you have success, I wish you all the success. This comes an issue at any time. Yeah.
Indoors, probably. We'll see.
Yeah.
I think that we have any questions. If you have any questions, you let them the mail. Thank you so much again for coming and sharing with us your morning.
Have a nice weekend then.
Should be this.
Oh, question from the Ukraine or not? Do you have a question?
Some questions is and we discussed with Ihari how we do our games, how we do physical games. Our plans, we want to say Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think it makes sense that you make a call with Maria and discuss. Maybe she will get give some inputs what you can do in the заповедник there. So,
Thank you so much. Have a good Saturday and weekend.
thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.